Kicking off my list with a bang, the Rush Hour Trilogy. Oh man, where do I begin with the Rush Hour Trilogy? The very movies that were like an endless loop at my house. I remember watching these movies like there was no tomorrow because they were just so funny and so rewatchable. There are so many aspects about this trilogy that I absolutely adore. From the way how the entire series takes full advantage of a plethora of comedy types with physical comedy, situational humor, satire, and even cringy moments that make it so you can't look away. The whole trilogy is worth the watch for the laughs alone. There's the action with Jackie Chan showcasing his fantastic skills throughout all three movies, whether for seeing him acrobatically protect museum pieces while staving off a flurry of fighters, scale bamboo scaffolding on the side of a high rise, and even wielding a katana on the side of the Eiffel Tower. And of course, the best of all, the chemistry between Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. For my money, their two characters to me are the greatest duo of all time. That's right, I said it, of all time. Why, you ask? Because it's just the way they just blended so well with each other despite being different. Unlike most buddy cop movies that pair a by-the-book personalities with a rule breaker, the Rush Hour Trilogy took full advantage of Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker's multi-talented personalities. But overall, all I'm trying to say is, fuck yeah, love the Rush Hour Trilogy. For the next entry, the Evil Dead Trilogy. Now, long before he was directing the Tobey Maguire SpiderMan movies, Sam Raimi was responsible for yet another iconic trilogy with Evil Dead, featuring his childhood buddy Bruce Campbell as the main protagonist, Ash Williams. For someone like me who's always been a huge lover of the Evil Dead franchise and also a Sam Raimi fanatic, all three movies are pretty damn good in their own right and are very different in tone and style. The first Evil Dead movie became a sleeper hit, garnering critical acclaim for its gripping and gory content, and even though I don't personally find it quite as rewatchable as the second or third movie, it's still worth the watch nonetheless. Evil Dead 2, who many people, including myself, find it to be the best of the bunch, would crank things up a notch by giving the entire trilogy a reputation by keeping the carnage while also containing some slapstick humor by solidifying the character of Ash Williams as an icon. From there, the surreal silliness stepped into gear with Army of Darkness in 1992, with anti-hero Ash being transported to the medieval ages to again wage war with the Deadites. Even though there are some aspects about the original Evil Dead trilogy that probably won't be for everybody, but to me, I think it's a pretty damn good trilogy and are films that you can enjoy as their little own standalone films without watching the entire series, though I do recommend doing so. Next, I have Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. The Dark Knight trilogy is the closest comic book movies will ever come to truly prestigious filmmaking, the kind that even Martin Scorsese would appreciate. Christopher Nolan's epic trilogy, to me, is the standard of what superhero movies can be. Not only did it cemented Christopher Nolan as one of the greatest directors of the 21st century, it forever changed the face of the comic book movie genre forever by bringing a sense of realism and tangibility to the genre, inspiring various imitators both good and bad to this day. Comprised of three radically different but tremendous films, the trilogy charts the origins of Christian Bale's Batman, the villainy of Gotham City, and the personal tragedies of Bruce Wayne as the Caped Crusader struggles to hold on to peace and order. The first installment, Batman Begins, started things off excellently and resurrected the Caped Crusader in such a major way after the abomination that was Batman and Robin killed it back in 1997. The story only progressed to new heights with The Dark Knight as it cranked things up all the way to 1,000 as it transcended the series into pop culture legend. While The Dark Knight Rises is admittedly the most flawed of the three movies, it doesn't tarnish the excellence of its predecessors, nor the narrative as a whole. Even with Rises being the weakest of the trilogy, it still provided a daring yet very satisfying conclusion to Christopher Nolan's version of Bruce Wayne, wrapping things up nicely and leaving fans with a proper ending to the story. With the added greatness of its impossibly packed ensemble cast, including the likes of Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Gary Oldman, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Aaron Eckhart, Anne Hathaway, Tom Hardy, and even Oscar-winning Heath Ledger, the Dark Knight trilogy is about as damn near perfect and is endlessly rewatchable. Next entry, the John Wick series. Out of all the film series on this list, John Wick was unquestionably the biggest surprise for me, as it's a franchise that is just consistently brilliant. It's like a progressive escalation because of the way how each film outdoes the last by just getting better, and better. It's a film franchise that is so good that you literally can pick a favorite out of all four movies. For me personally, I would say that the third and fourth movie are kind of like competing each other for my favorite, as both films are like very interchangeable for me. It's like sometimes I flip-flop between which one's my favorite. To the surprise of many people, the first first John Wick movie became an instant hit as it resonated with audiences who wanted a change from the superhero film genre with its simple revenge plot and stylish action visuals, and served as a comeback vehicle for Keanu Reeves' resurgence as a bona fide movie star. Due to its popularity and reception, John Wick would spawn 3 amazing sequels. There are so many things to love about this franchise, from the dazzling stylized action, clean-cut camera work, its elaborate universes of assassins, and the best of all, no heavy dependence on CGI. All I'm trying to say is the John Wick series is just absolutely flawless from start to finish. Next up, I have the Bourne Trilogy. Grounded, gritty, and serious, the first 3 Bourne movies to me are just perfect action films. These movies underplay the cool factor and approach the movies as suspenseful puzzles. The suspense, the soundtrack, and the action were on a whole new level as it helped revolutionize the infamous quick-cut, shaky cam action that garnered so many imitators for years to come to the action spectrum. The character of Jason Bourne is just so engaging and seemed to develop throughout the entire series, thanks to Matt Damon's brilliant performance as the frantic amnesiac hero. Damon turned Bourne into an icon thanks to the way he handled the confused emotion in the brutish fights. There were so many elements that were as suspenseful as the edge-of-your-seat moments, which made it so gripping that you never knew what was going to happen next or what to expect. On top of that, the trilogy was just packed with so many iconic action scenes, from the infamous taxi chase sequence in the Bourne Supremacy, and my personal favorite, the hand-to-hand combat fight sequence with Desh in the Bourne Ultimatum, which is easily to me the best of the entire trilogy. All in all, this is a fantastic trilogy which reinvented the action genre, and some action movies can learn a thing or two from Bourne in terms of how to create and maintain tension. The less said about the Bourne legacy and the 2016 Jason Bourne movie, the better, because they were just very uninspiring and just completely unnecessary. For the next entry, I have the Harry Potter saga. Now, out of all the long-term movie franchises that ever existed, Harry Potter has to be the most consistent of them all, because every single movie in the franchise ranges to being very good to being damn near flawless. Based off the popular book series by J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter is such a remarkable coming-of-age odyssey where we follow Harry Potter's illustrious journey from the Sorcerer's Stone all the way to Deathly Hallows Part 2. With the first 2 movies, The Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, being directed by Chris Columbus, it started off as children's movies through and through. Everything from the music to the color palette to the action just screamed "take your 10-year-old to see me," and to their immense credit, it worked brilliantly. But from there, the film series took like a more darker tone as it kicked off with the appearance of the Dementors in Prisoner of Azkaban, directed by Alfonso Cuarón, displaying a more complex take on the material, inspiring the rest of the movies, both visually and emotionally. Things shifted again when Lord Voldemort made his full return in the Goblet of Fire, giving Harry a physical embodiment of evil to fight with. By the time the final 2 movies were being shown, these were not kids' films anymore, making it clear that we have all grown up. Visually stunning every step of the way, the Harry Potter saga was such a refreshing slice of epic fantasy, acting as a powerful treatise on the strength of friendship, loyalty, and good's power over evil. And I am just so glad that I grew up watching this franchise. Next, I have the original Star Wars trilogy. Now, everybody knows that Star Wars is undeniably the most popular movie franchise of all time, and there have been 3 significant trilogies. There's the prequel trilogy that had a lot of great ideas, but were poorly executed when it came to the big screen. There's the sequel trilogy that was very promising, but resulted to being such a catastrophic mess due to the lack of poor planning. The original is the best of them all by a country mile, and it'll never be topped. Whatever your thoughts on the matter, it's impossible to argue the sheer wonder and the influence of the original trilogy. From the awe-inspiring score from the amazing John Williams, to the iconic characters that continue to shape pop culture to this very day, from Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, the trio of space opera masterpieces changed the very fabric of cinema and told a story that has been widely imitated but never equaled. The first movie, A New Hope, became such a huge pop culture phenomenon as it took the whole world by storm, as it was unlike anything that critics have ever seen in a movie before. The Empire Strikes Back was even more of a bigger hit as it leveled up, and while Return of the Jedi is generally perceived to be the weakest link of the trio, it's still a pretty damn good movie, and also a satisfying conclusion to the trilogy that remains unraveled in terms of its popularity and influence. A beautiful story with an epic, well-controlled scope, the original Star Wars trilogy is such a sight to behold as it changed cinema in every captivity. And saving the best for last, my absolute favorite franchise of all time, the Sam Raimi SpiderMan trilogy. Ah, yes, the very movies that defined my childhood. I absolutely adore Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. Pretty much, these are the movies that helped usher in the modern superhero genre, because without it, there probably would be no MCU today. Everyone's favorite neighborhood web-slinger leapt to vibrant life in the form of Tobey Maguire, who to me is still the standard actor to play Spider-Man. With Tobey Maguire adding earnest to the character that is so endearing, the first Spider-Man film is the rare origin story that is both necessary and done well. There's a special sort of joy in watching Peter come to terms with his amazing new powers. In addition, you also have the amazing Willem Dafoe's unhinged performance as the Green Goblin, who is just absolutely terrifying and just stealing every single scene that he's in. Spider-Man 2 is the Empire Strikes Back of all comic book movies, which is a distinction I do not make lightly, as the sequel is bigger and more exciting than its predecessor, while also deepening the mythos, including Alfred Molina's complex performance as Dr. Otto Octavius, who is truly a tragic figure as a genuinely good man who's only gone bad through mechanical arms. Oh, and I can't forget to mention the quintessential train scene, which is easily one of, if not the greatest live-action superhero scene of all time. And while Spider-Man 3 was a bit of a downgrade compared to the first two, and I can totally understand the people who don't really care for Spider-Man 3 at all, but I do believe that it deserves more appreciation because of the fact that I generally think it's better than people give it credit for. Even with its flaws, Spider-Man 3 is a movie all about forgiveness, which is the thing I absolutely love about this trilogy, how each movie has a theme. The first Spider-Man movie was all about responsibility, the second one was all about making sacrifices, and the third movie was all about forgiveness. I know these movies aren't certainly perfect. Yeah, they can be a bit campy, but I feel like the campiness contains the insurmountable amount of fun that beams from this trilogy and makes all three of them so special to me. And for all of that is why these movies will always have a special place in my heart.